All right, looks like the stream is streaming. Hello, everyone. Michael Sprimuli here again. Welcome back to another episode of COVID-19 Real People, Real Perspectives. For those of you who have seen this for the first time, what I'm attempting to do here is basically share people's experiences as to how they're navigating the COVID situation from all walks of life. Yesterday, we had a counselor on, had an entertainer on a couple of weeks ago, or last week. And today, we've got a very exciting guest who I'll tell you about in just a second, but feel free to share this video. It's originating on Facebook, but the post is set public, so you can share it to anyone who you might think could benefit. If you're interested in being a guest on a future episode, drop me a note in the comments, and I will be in touch with you. You don't have to have any special credentialing or equipment. As long as you got an iPhone, at the bare minimum, we can make it work, because I'm interested in bringing real stories from real people. So let me tell you about today's guest. This individual I know very well, and when the two of us connect and get together, usually a lot of jocularity ensues, and I'm sure today will not be an exception. Today's guest is a gifted speaker, performer, family man, but most importantly during these days, he's actually an EMT on the front lines dealing with this COVID-19 situation. So let me bring him in, and we'll push some buttons here. This is getting easier, but still a lot of moving parts in a live stream. All right, and here we are. I give to you Mr. Michael Kirschner. Welcome him to the broadcast. Yay, Michael, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you, Michael?
Great, thanks for being here. As you can tell from Michael's backdrop, he's a bit of a performer, and one of the things that he does is for schools and assemblies. He has a no bullying program, which is fantastic. I actually had the privilege of sitting through that and experiencing it. It's a really, really good presentation for all ages. So welcome to welcome to the show, as they say. How are you and your family holding up throughout all this?
Well, I'm still smiling. All right.
Yeah.
And there are times, and let's face it, that I'm not smiling. But we are. I have two little kids at home and an amazing wife. I got an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old, so we are pretty much busy.
Yeah.
In my household, between homeschooling and just your typical actions of daily life.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I see some people are saying, well, I'm getting all this downtime. I haven't had much downtime, and I imagine in your situation that's also the case, because instead of having, how many children you have? I forget. Two. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was one or two. All that schooling activity now defaults to you guys, and that keeps you busy, I would imagine, from morning till night.
Yeah. I'm busier than I've ever been.
Yeah.
So.
Tell us about your background, because I'm sure people are interested about the backdrop that I see behind you there. What's going on?
Well, I'm a performer and speaker by trade. I started out performing when I was 10 years old, and I made it into a full-time business. What you see behind me, it's hard to see, that's a backdrop for my anti-bullying program called Abracabully, and I go to schools all over the nation, and I talk mostly about respect and kindness and giving love to one another more than anything else, and then also empathy, because let's face it, the kids that are doing the bullying, they have some problems, so we have to be empathetic to their issues as well.
I sigh because that lesson's appropriate for everyone now more than ever.
Yep.
I mean, everyone, one of the things I keep saying over and over again, and people are probably sick and tired of hearing me say it, is we're all in this together, and it's true. I mean, no one knows what's going on. This is unnavigated territory. We're all working through it, and empathy is a powerful tool. So I want to just check to make sure that this is streaming correctly. This is one of those situations where I'm literally building the plane as we're flying it. As I'm pulling this up on the stream, tell me about how the response has been in your neck of the woods. Where are you? What has your community been doing? Are people following the stay-at-home guidelines? What's happening?
I am in the wonderful state of New Jersey.
Okay.
I live in a county called Bergen County. And if you are following the news and see anything about Jersey, you will know that the Bergen County area of Jersey is the most hit with the COVID-19. And people are staying at home over here. We go out in front of our house to play basketball with the kids, but you don't really see anybody driving. You know, if we go to the market, because it's so difficult for us to get any kind of deliveries,
right?
So we're forced to go to the supermarket. You don't see anybody until you're actually in the supermarket, and even in the supermarket, I feel that people are really being respectful of our space. They don't want to get into my space, and I don't want to get into their space. And if somebody is close to me, I ask them politely to please back away, or I move away from them if I'm able to.
And, you know, it's interesting because I'm currently in Asheville, North Carolina, and it's similar type of deals here. I've only been out, I think, once, maybe twice since this started about 3 or so weeks ago. And most people are playing by the rules. Occasionally, I felt like human dodgeball in a grocery store where you see someone down one aisle and it's like, no, I ain't going there. I'm heading in a different direction. But people, from my experience, seem to be playing along. Not the case in other places, as we've seen in the news with mass gatherings, which I just don't quite get. Which kind of brings us to one of the many reasons I wanted to chat with you. You're a volunteer EMT, which, first of all, I applaud you. Hats off to you. Not only are you on the front lines, you're not getting paid for it. And you know, you talk about heroes. You're looking at one. Give us some insight on what that's been like. Is every call just COVID-19 related, or what are you seeing out there in response to this?
So let me talk about the demographics of my town.
Sure.
Okay. I live in a very small town in Bergen County, and there's only about 5,000 people in my town, but we're part of a greater area called the Northern Valley of New Jersey. And as a volunteer, we try to help out the whole Northern Valley. Now, in my particular town, there are three, I think, senior facilities, whether they're in independent living, an assisted living, or a nursing home. Okay, so that tends to be kind of a hot zone for us. Okay, at times.
Sure.
I'll be honest, I've only been on one call. Okay, for COVID.
Okay.
And it was nerve-wracking.
How so more than usual? Was it from the amount of PPE you got to put on, or just the hyped up universal precautions? How is it that the protocol changed from just a standard EMS call?
You know, this is all new to us. Now, quite a few people in my volunteer EMT squad have put on full PPE because they had to deal with the H1N1 flu a few years back. I'm new to this. I became an EMT only within the last couple of years. So this is my first experience in donning the PPE, being able to put on all the PPE. So when I arrived to this call, this person who was an older lady, the call was for a fall.
Oh dear. So you didn't even you guys didn't even have a heads up going into that.
No, we did. We did.
Okay.
The call was for a fall.
Yep.
So how calls come in now, which is different from how it was 2 weeks ago, it will say what the problem is, if the person has had any flu-like symptoms, or if the patient is a COVID-19 patient, positive patient. So we got the call saying this was an elderly person who fell, and that the person is COVID-19. So now I'm on call that night. I go to my ambulance corps, and I meet up with my my partner, and we drove to the facility where we had to go ahead and put on our full PPE. I went in initially. Our goal really was to let's see if the patient is okay before we decide taken the patient to the hospital.
Right.
Now, 2 weeks ago, prior to 2 weeks ago, we would just go in, look at the patient, and ask, hey, do you want to go to the hospital? And if they want to go to the hospital, we take you to the hospital. But now we're a little bit more cautious because, one, do we want to contact any diseases?
Sure.
Right? Because as an EMT, we have to protect ourselves first because we're the front line and we don't want to spread it to anybody else. I don't want to take it home to my family. I don't want to pass it on to any other patients, you know? So I said, okay, I'll go in. I put on my full gear. I let my partner stay outside. And when I got in there, I just felt at that point, after seeing the patient, that no matter what, we're going to take this person to the hospital. So I sent the nurse from the facility out to my partner, and we went ahead, got the patient, we picked her up, we put her on the stretcher, we made sure she was secure, we showed a lot of empathy to her. We had gloves on and masks on, so we had contact with the patient.
How was her reaction in the middle of all this?
This is a patient that was disoriented.
Okay, so altered mental state, so she wasn't quite aware of what was... Okay, I got you. Fair enough.
So we got her to the hospital. Now when you go to the hospital, there's different entrances for you to come in. But now because there are so many patients that have this in the emergency room, when I got there, they basically said just bring her in through through the ambulance doors. So that's what we did, and then we handed off. We handed off the patient to the higher beings, the doctors and the nurses, and we left. And that's when the stress started.
How so?
Now I'm thinking to myself, is this PPE okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first I thought, God, I hope the patient is okay. Because let's face it, I do what I do, and my fellow brothers and sisters do what we do because we care about people.
Of course.
So the first thought is, okay, we hope she's okay. But then it sets in. What did we just experience? It felt like I was watching Outbreak or Contagion.
Yeah.
You know? It was, how do I take off the PPE without contaminating myself? How do I decontaminate the ambulance, which thankfully our county, our borough where we live is amazing and got us special disinfectant and a gun to spray down the ambulance inside and out. So at least we know that, when the next call comes in, they're going to be in a clean ambulance and we're going to be in a clean ambulance. So, and then you go home and you think, did I contact anything? Did I wash everything off of me? So it's a scary feeling, but I was told I have to believe in my PPE, my personal protection equipment. You guys have heard that term a lot now, PPE, personal protection equipment. And I believe that I was secure with my N95 masks. I wore a gown, a face shield, gloves. I looked like I was from a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because 3 weeks ago, maybe a month and a half ago, no one even knew what the term PPE stood for. Now that's probably going to be Webster's word of the year, because you hear it every day in a bunch of different contexts where there's shortages and how it's important and what have you. And I imagine, have you been in the situation where, a couple of days after that call, you maybe had a little tickle in your throat or scratchiness type of thing, and it's like, uh-oh, is that something? I mean, does that go through your head?
Prior to today, the last couple of days, well, this call was on Thursday, so Friday and Saturday, I kept on smelling everything to make sure that I can smell something, because that's one of the signs you lose taste and smell.
Right. Well, that's one of those whoa, stop the clock moments. If someone ends up having, if this taste and smell disappears, you probably want to monitor yourself pretty carefully, from what I'm understanding. And I am not a medical professional, and anyone who listens to medical advice from me is an idiot. So, we take it from trusted sources. But I've been hearing that consistently from some pretty verifiable sources. That's a pretty big indicator.
Right, and everybody that's listening, take your advice from the CDC and the NIH.
Yes.
You know, don't get baba-booed by anybody.
Right. No, well, exactly, because there's so much going around. And yeah, I'm grateful to have a platform like this to do something, hopefully that's productive and letting folks see various sides of how this is affecting everyone. But unfortunately, anyone and their brother, mother, sister, or cousin who's got a cell phone can be a broadcaster and could be perceived as a, quote, expert. And that's muddying the waters. It's so important that you're getting your information through credible, verified sources. And the CDC is probably the best you got. Second to, I would imagine, and they're probably on par, World Health Organization. But the CDC is obviously here in the States. So I'm following them.
I like to make a plea, okay? You know, listen, like I said before, I believe in making sure that I'm safe, but, you know, not just me, the custodians in the hospitals, the people building the tents outside the hospitals, obviously the administrators, the people that are on the front line, the doctors, the nurses, the people at the grocery stores. We are without personal protection equipment. Well, we're almost without personal protection equipment. If any of you have anything stocked at home, keep some for yourself. Then whatever you can, please bring to your local municipalities, okay? Or call them up and leave it on your front door if you don't want to go out of the house, and they will come and they will pick it up.
So let's get real specific here. When you say municipalities, we talking fire, EMS, police department? Who do they call? Because a lot of times people are like, well, I got some stuff, but I don't know, you know, do I just go to the ER? I don't want to do that. Who do they who's the best point of contact to say, I've got some gear to donate and I'd like to make that happen?
Call your local congressman, and they can direct you to the best source.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion. But obviously, yes, you can contact your local fireman and ambulance corps. You can contact the administration of the hospital. But you know what? I believe that the congressmen probably have a list of the people that really need the stuff.
Okay.
And that might be a good source for you to go to. But just think that everybody needs something at this point.
Right.
You know, anybody that's going to be in contact with COVID patients or not into contact with them, because we don't know who has them and who doesn't. We don't know who has it and who doesn't have it.
Well, that's what's so insidious about this, is that the incubation period is what are they saying now? 14 days. I've heard conflicting, at least, so it could lie dormant, asymptomatic, and you know, you're thinking you got the poison out of your system and you're good to go, but then you realize, you know, 2 days later, you know, oh, maybe I have a problem here, because it's such a delayed onset from the point of infection to when it actually becomes full bore.
Yeah, I'll make this simple. Everyone has it, including you, including me, and that's the train of thought that we have to have.
Yeah.
We have to assume that, hey, I don't want to give it to my neighbor, and I don't want my neighbor to give it to me.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that's the ultimate in love thy neighbor.
Yeah.
You know, without getting religious.
Yeah. Well, that's all right.
You know?
I mean, you know,
love thy neighbor by staying
away, by stay over there. Yeah. Someone on my feed, the great Ross Johnson, for those of you who know who that is, posted a meme the other day. He said, like a good neighbor, stay over there, is what the doormat said. And yeah, true words have never been spoken. Yeah, I think assuming that you have it as opposed to, oh, I might get it, that flips the mindset a little bit with regards to how you go about your day. And yeah, last time I was at the grocery store, I was looking at the cashiers, and they don't have gloves, they don't have gowns. You know, they're dealing with currency and people and whatnot. I mean, I went in there with a pair of latex gloves and just, you know, very gingerly inserted my credit card, did what I had to do, and got out of there, and then, you know, disposed of the gloves in the floorboard of my car, where there's a collection now, and then sanitized. And is it excessive? I don't think so. I think you got to take every advantage that you can to try to contain this, and assume you're infected is a good way to go about it until you realize, you know, that we got the all clear whenever that happens.
Michael, important, and this is for everybody, if you're using latex gloves, and it's very important that you do not bring those gloves home, okay? Have a plastic bag in your car when you take off your gloves, and you should watch a video of how to take off your gloves properly.
With the
okay?
hook and the...
All right,
Yeah.
and then take that and place that into a Ziploc bag, so this way you don't have to pick it up later.
Yeah.
Okay. This way it's done and it's out of your way, and then you can throw it out in a safe manner. And then wash your hands as soon as you walk into the house.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good points, because you deal with this on a regular basis. Doctors and nurses and clinicians, they practice universal precautions, which is the fancy medical term for assuming everybody's sick, including themselves, so that there's no But when you stop to think about breaking down those various steps so that you don't recontaminate, you really have to be mindful, at least in the beginning, of, well, I set this here, then I picked it back up. Well, now you just recontaminated yourself, and you got to start the process of decon all over again. So it's a bit of a mindset shift. What are you doing to keep your sanity? You got 2 kids in the house. What are you doing for fun? I want to get some insight. Have you binge watched anything on Netflix? Have you?
I'm on Ozark right now, which I love.
Okay.
So this is the 3rd season, and it's quite entertaining. You know what? We had a dance party with my kids the other night with my parents who live in Florida,
oh, cool.
and my sister who lives in Manhattan with my nephew.
Nice.
And we got down and funky, on Zoom. I'm a mentalist and magician, so in fact tonight I'll get together with 12 of my favorite people on Zoom, and we're gonna have a magic session like we usually do on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, it's like the 12 apostles or something, or the 12 tribes of Israel, or the 12 signs of the zodiac. 12 is the magic number.
12 is good.
12 is good.
So, a little reading, listening to music. And you know what? I moved into this house 2 years ago, and I don't know much about lawn care, so I am now finding that I have vines wrapped around all my bushes, so I am now tearing apart vines from my bushes, and things that I have not been able to get to, we're getting to. We have a basement downstairs full of boxes when we first moved in a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. They're finally starting to get unpacked and cleaned. So, that's what I'm doing to keep my sanity. And you know what? Having great conversations with my wife, and just loving one another.
That's it. Yeah, it's my wife and I and our pets are here, and we doing what we do. As far as what we've watched, we recently went through. I don't know if you've watched Lost when it was out many years ago.
I didn't.
Yeah. Well, we love that series. It gets a little wonky toward the end. The writers, I don't think, knew where they were going, but we watched it like 9 times on Facebook. I mean on Netflix rather.
Netflix.
And we just finished that up. So now we're looking at other things, and Better Call Saul's a good one too. If you're into, I don't know if you're into that track there, as far as the Breaking Bad / Better Call Saul. It's a little dark, but it's a distraction. It's a distraction.
Are you getting out of the house at all? Are you going? Are you taking walks?
Yeah, my wife is a big walker. I will go out and stand in the driveway a little bit. She's actually walking with some people in the community on different sides of the road, keeping a good 6-8 foot distance between. So she's getting out. My phone's ringing. I'll let that go. This is completely unrehearsed. And yeah, it's I'll go out to get a little vitamin C and what have you. As far as my day-to-day operations, I've been a remote worker for 20 plus years, so that hasn't been a disruption. But it's just the new cycle of getting used to everything, and who's available, who's not available. Everything's upside down, and that's just the way it is, and we'll figure it out as we go. As we wind this down, I always like to ask folks, if you had one message, one pearl, one thought to leave with everyone, what would that be? And while you're doing, go ahead. Oh, I was going to check the comments. Let's see. Marcus Beldig says hello.
My buddy Marcus.
And he says, thanks for doing this. And he says, good to see us both. And then Todd Ward says hello. That's good. I don't know why the comments aren't streaming on the box below. We'll get that fixed eventually. I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. You were about to say something very profound, and I'm looking at Facebook comments.
With all this sadness and anger, I see a lot of anger on Facebook, and I get it. or all over all social media platforms, I get being upset. But by ranting and pointing fingers, that's not doing justice. Okay? Be kind, show love, and be good to yourself.
I think those are fantastic words and appropriate now more than ever, and you can't go wrong following those pieces of information that you shared. Do me a favor, give your Ken Weber's going to nail me for that. Inside joke. You get it. But do me a favor and tell everyone your web address so that once this calms down, and if they're affiliated or connected with the school and they want to bring an anti-bullying program, again, I can vouch for this. I've seen the presentation, and it's quite impactful. How can folks find you? And I'll put a link in the show notes as well.
I'll give you two websites.
Please.
One is at abracabully.com, and that's abracabully.com.
Okay.
And that's for my school shows, and then for my corporate keynote and team building and entertainment, you can find me at Mike Kirschner. My last name is spelled KIRSCHNER.com, MikeKirschner.com.
All right, I'll make sure that I put those in the post below so that people can reference that, and because eventually all this is going to come back, and we got to be ready, and especially coming out of this type of situation, students now more than ever, I think, need to hear that message, and you're the guy to spread it. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to share your insights. I wish you and your family health and safety throughout this. As I tell everyone, be safe, wash your hands, and stay at home. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you, Michael.
Bye for now.